So it's a new week and it's a new interview to speak about our expectation for this year's WWDC. So this week, my guest is someone that you might know from his blog or from his newsletter. It is Antoine Vanderly. Welcome, Antoine.
Hey, hello. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
Yeah, doing great. It's great to be here.
So thank you for participating in this series of interviews. And so I'm going to ask you the same three questions than for the other interviewees, and then there will be one question that is specific for you. So my first question is, if you had one wish, what would you wish for at WWDC 2021?
Yeah, this is so sad. I can only tell you one thing. So I really need to pick between all the things that I have in mind. Um, for the past few years, I've always asked for a core data solution written in Swift. And if I were to choose between better performant Xcode or maybe Swift data or something, or a better Swift package manager integration, because that's something I really, really, really wish for as well. I think right now I would go for the latter. So better Swift package manager integration. If I look at what I'm doing day to day, I'm writing quite a lot of Swift packages lately. And the thing is, if you open a package in Xcode, it just doesn't work the same as if you are working in a regular Xcode project. So, for example, you create a new file. The file headers don't work, so you need to manually type in the file name. There's no copyright in the correct way. Your custom header is applied in the right way. There are just a few odd things. Code coverage isn't working for packages on Apple Silicon Macs. Altogether, it just feels like it's still being worked on, and it's still getting there. It's
Yeah.
getting better. We adopted it, but yeah, I just wish for the next big step together with the build scripts integration, running Swift lint for your Swift packages, all those kind of things.
Yeah, and I really agree with you that sometimes we focus on one specific feature, but actually anything that is an improvement on Xcode or on any of the developer tool, it's an improvement for everything else because it's like just so central to the way that we do our work.
Yeah, exactly. It's immediately a game changer, and new features like Swift UI in the past are great, but you probably don't use it directly in your day-to-day job. While a new version of Xcode, once it becomes the GM or the release candidate, as they call it today, then you can directly start using it in your current projects, which is so nice.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Like if at some point, for instance, let's say that Apple they choose to include a linter in Xcode, well, almost everyone would be using it. Whereas now SwiftLint you need to opt in, and a lot of projects use it, but not all the projects.
Yeah, that would even be better. Yeah, in this case, I really refer to the fact that you can use your custom build script in Swift packages. Right now there is like a backing Swift project generated for a package if you open the package.swift file, but there is not really a way to customize things. I mean, maybe what they even might do this year is create a new way of managing project settings. The packages are managed by a Swift typed file, and you can reference packages in Swift syntax. It would be super nice if we can do the same like Toist is doing, but then with Swift integrated into Xcode.
Yeah, it's true that in Xcode, like the project file, it feels like really a big piece of legacy code. And yeah, the day it gets updated to something more modern, would definitely be a big win.
Yeah, and the downside of the big project file is that all the build settings are there, even though you didn't change them. And obviously, you can filter on the ones that you adjusted, but it's just not as discoverable as it would be if you were to write it in Swift. And on top of that, we all know that the merge conflicts in project files are nice to fix.
It's absolutely hell. Definitely agree on this one. So yeah, we can only be on the lookout for this kind of announcements. And so moving on to the second question, which is more realistically, what do you expect to be announced?
Yeah, so I actually expect a lot of improvements on this matter. Swift Package Manager is super important to Apple. They have a dedicated team to it. So I guess we can expect something to happen there for sure. The Swift data, I'm not entirely sure. Core data is so super old and mature in a way that it's been tested through and it's not easy to change. So it will come someday, but I'm a bit hesitant that it will happen this time. Um, the thing I'm looking forward to, and there's still a bit of debate around it whether or not it will arrive at WWDC, but I think you are quite up to date on this topic. But async await is something I'm really looking forward to. And yeah, I just question myself whether or not it will be, without the underscores released in Swift 5.5, or will it be Swift 6?
Yeah.
Those are the questions I'm asking myself. But something is going to happen around that.
Yeah, and I can tell you that my one wish in my own interview was async await, as you can imagine.
Right? I'm not surprised.
And is there an announcement that you would be, we could say, scared of because maybe it would like put in question some of your work or future projects?
Well, that's tough. I'm working on two main projects right now. One is the Collect by WeTransfer app, which you could compare to the Photos app. So there's already kind of like an alternative built in, and we're not really afraid of that at this point. But the other one is, I built Rocket Sim, and actually they pushed me this year already with Xcode 12.5, where they integrated exporting to GIF and integrated the recording functionality right now in the simulator. And I'm promoting against Rocket Sim at this point. That's bad, but Rocket Sim is doing so many more things, so I'm fine with it. But yeah, I guess that would be the part where I would be a bit afraid, where suddenly I'm depending on the developer tools within Xcode, and what if Xcode 13 wouldn't allow me to do the things that I do today with Rocket Sim? I'm a sandboxed application, so I'm kind of limited in the things that I can do. Yeah, I'm a bit afraid that if I'm running the developer tools on Xcode 13, that suddenly everything is even more limited, or maybe with the new Mac OS that things aren't working as expected. Yeah, that's the area where I'm the most afraid of.
Yeah, and definitely, like whenever you are creating some kind of developer tool for the Apple ecosystem, I guess when you get started, you better like be aware that this is a risk and take it into account from the beginning because, like you said, if Apple decide to Sherlock your feature, there is not much that you can do actually.
No, then you just either stop developing or yeah, get better at it. When they released the recording functionality, I was at first like, okay, this is the end of Rocket Sim and whatever. It's built in. People won't install a separate application, but I kind of took it as a motivation to make Rocket Sim even more, different and better in a way by adding the whole comparison feature. And yeah, I guess that's the other route you can take when you get
That's very
Sherlock.
true.
Think about how can you make your product even better and differentiate in a way.
Yeah, you can see it as Apple is doing a lot of free marketing for, we could say, like the kind of tool that you provide, and then you just have to provide all the extra features and kind of piggyback on all the way they have evangelized the feature. So you're
Yeah,
right.
and,
Like
and and make it better. There's many solutions to many of the same problems. But yeah, the one works better than the other, and even two different products, one can work better for your neighbor, while the other one works better for you. So I think there's always room for competition in the fields.
exactly, especially when it's developer tools where each developer has their own workflow, their own preferences, and doing a one size fits all product, it's extremely challenging in this area. So that's kind of the nice
Definitely.
thing, as you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, last question that is more like specific to your area of work in the community. So, your blog is one of the most popular in the community, and I guess, and I actually know from experience that WWDC is a very special and important week to create content. So, how do you plan for WWDC?
Yeah, so I know many of the people in the community that do writing plan to, release like many blog posts in that week. It sometimes even feels like we kind of need to do that in a way. But for me, I'm looking at it like it's also a week for me where I need to adopt a lot of knowledge and a lot of logic. And there's already so many things coming into the community. At first everybody wants to watch all the WWDC sessions, and secondly, if everybody is pushing so many articles, the value of each article goes down in a way. So on top of that, I'm writing every week, and if I were to push all the new things in 1 week in articles, then I'm throwing away kind of like 5 weeks of articles. So yeah, the thing I'm really focused on during WWDC is really like finding those niche little things that are too small to write about, maybe, but still super valuable, and try to post those in like Twitter kind of content, tweets, and then I'm building up on a list for the upcoming weeks after, where I'm taking my time to really dig into a topic and then push out articles that are, well, in a way more valuable and long lasting, kind of evergreen, so everybody can use them over time and really get the value out of it, instead of pushing 1 week full of 5-6 articles in a week where I'm super busy already with just watching the sessions. So nothing really special from my side, but yeah, I'm looking forward to gain a lot of inspiration for new articles for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's really nice that feeling when sometimes, like whenever you have a blog, you have deadlines to meet, and sometimes like it's a bit hard to find ideas. And during this week, whoa, there are like all of these possible ideas that are coming at you like almost for free. It's a very nice feeling.
Yeah, it's super nice. And the thing I especially like to do is, open the new Xcode and find new features that aren't really demonstrated in the keynote or in the State of the Union or in any of those sessions, and really find those hidden gems that are super valuable and try to push them out.
Yeah, and I definitely also agree with what you said that I also like, for me the tweet format, the short tweet format is probably the best one during this week, because it gets a
Yeah,
lot of visibility and not a lot of effort, and you're not like scared it will be outdated, because tweet, they get outdated by definition.
yeah, those years that we were to be in person at WWDC, I remember me sitting at a session and just constantly having my phone ready. That whenever there was a slide with a valuable thing, I would create a photo and push it out. And it's a super nice way to gain some traction on Twitter if you want to grow in visibility.
Yeah, I agree. I remember like during last in-person WWDC, so 2019, doing the same thing, like being in the session where they were first discussing about property wrappers, and being like on the ready to write code snippets and put them on Twitter and be
Yeah,
like everything top of mind. And you're like, if there is only one of the tweet that gets some visibility, it's super nice. So why not?
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so well, thank you a lot, Antoine. Definitely a lot of very interesting stuff in your answers, and I guess you're like me. You are very excited to see what will be announced at the beginning of June. So we'll just have to see what Apple has in store for us.
Yeah, it's like Christmas in the middle of the year for us developers, right? It's
It's true. It's true.
busy times, but fun times.
So thank you for being with us, Antoine. Thank you all for watching, and see you next week for the next interview. Bye bye.
Thanks, Vincent. Bye bye.